Russia is no longer required by the global economy. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, has in fact been enjoying the benefits of his proclaimed energy superiority for the majority of the past year, particularly since his invasion of Ukraine. Putin is controlling the world economy to his will. Recently, Putin has stopped supplying natural gas to Europe. This is because he hopes that the cold and lack of heat throughout the winter will cause people to turn against their administrations, rendering future support for Ukraine extremely challenging. In this video, we'll explain why, in response to Russia's determination to use energy as an economic sword, analysts are contemplating a global economy without the country. So pay attention. 1. There has been serious risk. Russia provided 83% of its own gas to Europe in 2021. Almost 50% of the nation's government revenue came from Russia's overall international shipments of 7 million barrels of oil per day and 200 billion cubic meters of piped gas each year. Much more importantly, 46% of Europe's gas supply came from Russia. Unfortunately, that is not it. Actually, other Russian products like minerals and fertilizers are also heavily incorporated in economic sectors of other countries. In the near term, Putin will surely hurt the economies of EU member states. Yet in the big scheme of things, Russia won't be able to prevail in the energy war. The downfalls of the ruble and an increase in inflationary dread have occurred in conjunction with the crisis in Russia's energy sector. The interest rate in Russia was 20% right before the battle. Interest rates were lowered by the central bank during 2022, but they were stopped in October as inflationary concerns increased. In 2023, a greater decrease of the ruble is anticipated. War is becoming more expensive. Furthermore, the Russian government claims that manufacturing output may not decline in 2022, but this is only true after accounting for arms production and military spending. Production of automobiles has almost been slashed in half. Since 300,000 persons between the ages of 22 and 50 were recruited into the fight, the GDP has fallen by 0.5%. 2. Russia struggles to preserve its dominance in the oil market. The EU countries have now been convinced by Russia's blackmail that Moscow is not a reliable energy supply. In order to enhance imports from the United States, Australia, liquefied natural gas, LNG, facilities, is being built at a dizzying pace. As a result, Europe is stepping up its efforts to disassociate from Russian resources. In particular, new gas supply agreements are now being discussed with suppliers like Norway, while the first of several new LNG terminals will soon begin operations in countries of Eastern Europe. 3. How did European countries manage this challenge? Europe will need to import so much less gas in 2023. Instead of succumbing to the cold, Europe quickly secured other gas sources by refocusing on worldwide LNG. That would also require an estimated 55 billion cubic meters from the US, which is 2.5 times greater than US LNG imports to Europe prior to World War II. Combining these different possibilities with improvements in accessibility of alternative energy sources has reduced Europe's dependency on Russian gas to 9% of its overall gas imports. In addition, Europe's exceptionally mild winter suggests that not solely have the most terrifying scenarios been avoided, however, Europe's enormous storage tanks have only recently run dry and can endure into the coming winter. According to the U.S. Wilson Center, there was a 12.5% decrease in petrol consumption during the first winter after the war in Ukraine. At the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, German Finance Minister Christian Lindner asserted that a new liquefied natural gas facility in Germany had been finished in a record-breaking 8 months. He added that other infrastructure projects were being planned. In fact, a few months ago, Germany's storage tanks were 91% full, up from 54% in the previous year. In the past, Russia supplied more than a third of Germany's oil needs, in addition to over half of its gas needs. But Germany stopped importing Russian oil at the start of 2023, and Russia cut off the nation's gas supply by the end of 2022. Germany has rebuilt coal-fired power plants, delayed plans to shut down its 3 nuclear power reactors, and improved equipment to store natural gas imported from other countries, like the United States, in order to find alternative sources of energy. 4. What about green energy? Don't you think, is it time for a green energy boom? The answer is yes. In fact, green energy is becoming more and more popular in Europe. The results are significant. A sufficient energy supply is currently guaranteed for Europe until at least 2024, leaving plenty of time for other economical energy sources to be fully integrated and operational within Europe. This should absolutely help entirely replace Russian gas shipments. It seems that Europe won't need Russian gas and oil for quite some time. It is obvious that Russia's oil is no longer needed by the globe. Due to increasing supply, which is more than enough to make up for any prospective reductions in Russian crude production, the oil market is trending in favor of buyers instead of sellers. Alexander Novak, the Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, told the Russian media that the government was prepared to restrict oil production in 2023. Oil is currently less expensive than it was prior to the conflict, and only in the second half of 2022 did output rise by 4 million barrels per day from suppliers like the United States, Canada, and Brazil. Whatever Russian crude that is used up this year will be easily and quickly replaced because there will be a significant increase in supplies during 2023. Since the G7 price controls push Russia to choose a lose-lose option that reduces its energy superiority, Moscow's power has also decreased. China and India make use of the maximum limit to force a tough bargain with Russia, offering price reductions of up to 50%, and that without explicitly participating in it. As a result, perhaps while India is buying approximately 33 times Russian oil in 2023 more than a year ago, Russia is not making many profits due to the production costs and significantly greater freight costs. Putin has cautioned that if supply is drastically reduced further, he will lose all key industry domination in an extremely oversaturated oil market and see a massive decrease in his own revenues, at a moment in which he is obviously running out of money. What does this imply? This suggests that due to penalties, Western cash and expertise seem to be no more available to Russian energy sectors. The Russian economy is in immediate jeopardy because of this. Although they have claimed new territories in the polar regions, exploiting them should require enormous sums of cash and extremely advanced modern expertise and know-how. Their current energy supplies are quickly running out. Russia's ability to produce energy will progressively decrease over the following few years. 5. What about other countries? Are countries outside Europe involved? Energy no longer has to be priced worldwide due to Russia-driven supply squeezes. Besides the lower than anticipated demand for LNG in Europe, China too is turning more and more towards domestic supply of LNG. So it is no surprise that the gas derivatives market is right now valuing gas to be affordable relative to pre-war costs for the near future, given the rapidly rising LNG availability. In essence, the oil market is finding Russia to be in weaker shape. Russia's oil was bought by Turkey, India, and China, but not by Europe. Despite this, these economies paid significantly less for the oil than Brent crude, with a price difference of well over $30 per barrel. Although it actually sells for about $38, or about half of what Brent crude oil costs, Russia's oil is said to be priced at $50 per barrel. Putin, on the other hand, is learning the hard way that it is much easier for customers to switch unreliable commodity suppliers than it is for suppliers to look for other markets. He seems to have no real influence and no ability to win back his previous primary consumer. Putin's power in the oil industry is also waning. The days when oil costs rose 40% in just 2 weeks due to the fears that Putin would evacuate Russian oil reserves are long gone. In fact, once the G7 oil price ceiling went into effect and Putin put a stop to oil deliveries to nations that agreed to the price ceiling starting on February, oil prices dropped. 6. The oil market is not a special case. Other commodities tokens held by Russia are likewise exhausted. The idea of militarizing food collapsed when even supposed allies revolted against Russia. Additionally, blackmail-averse consumers and higher pricing have boosted and re-inspired sluggish public as well as private expansion of crucial mineral supply chain operations and mining businesses, particularly in metals markets that Russia has historically dominated, such as nickel and titanium. They are primarily found in North and South America as well as Africa, where there are a great deal of undiscovered mineral reserves. In fact, the combined output of new mines expected to open in the next couple of years will offer enough production to totally replace Russian metals in global supply chains in key crucial metal sectors such as cobalt and nickel. Conclusion: the decline of Russia continues. The world is becoming aware that an economy without Russia is possible, and Russians are coping with the reality of economic exclusion. The fact that the finish is near is what matters in reality. Because Putin has irreparably ruined Russia's strongest card, notably energy and commodities, over and above repair, Putin would never again be able to cause such global economic upheaval and chaos. Classical economic restoration strategies, such as increasing exports, expanding domestic manufacturing, and attracting additional foreign investment, are really no more viable options. Some suggested solutions, like price caps or fixed exchange rates, might make the problem worse. Although there is still fighting on the ground, victory in the economic war is within grasp. Do you find this video to be interesting? If so, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe, and comment buttons, and let us know what you think.